Welcome to TFI Global. Breaking news from Europe. Germany has just unveiled a massive 80 billion euros rearmament plan. But here's where it gets interesting. Almost none of it is going to the United States. Instead, Berlin is channeling billions of its defense budget directly into European hands, sidelining Washington's defense giants. And the fallout? Analysts say America is not happy. In fact, whispers from Brussels to Berlin suggest that the US may be deliberately delaying arms shipments, including the all-important Patriot missile systems, using security guarantees as leverage to blackmail Europe into buying American weapons. So, what's really going on here? Is Germany taking the first bold step towards European military independence? Or is this just the opening shot in a new transatlantic arms Cold War? Let's break it down. First, the facts. Germany's new procurement blueprint was leaked to the media and it's nothing short of revolutionary. Between September 2025 and December 2026, Berlin is preparing to approve 154 major defense projects worth nearly 83 billion euros. Now here's the shocking part. Only 8% of that spending is earmarked for American weapons. Just 6.8 billion euros. That's pennies compared to what the US defense contractors are used to getting from Germany. The rest? It overwhelmingly flows into the European industry. Companies like Rheinmetall, Airbus, BAE Systems and Leonardo are the big winners with projects spanning everything from armored vehicles to next-generation air defense systems. The single largest item? The F-127 frigate program, a 26 billion euro mega contract for German shipbuilder TKMS. And then there's the new Eurofighter Tranche 5, billions for Boxer armored vehicles and upgrades to Germany's Taurus cruise missiles. In short, Berlin is betting on Europe, not America. Now this is a dramatic shift. Remember, Germany used to be one of Washington's best customers. Between 2020 and 2024 alone, Berlin approved over $17 billion in US foreign military sales, including record purchases after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In fact, in 2023, Germany became one of the top 3 buyers of American weapons worldwide, right alongside Poland and Japan. But the tide is turning. Instead of pouring billions into US pockets, Germany is now using its defense surge to boost European self-reliance. That's where things get tense, because America's war economy depends heavily on continuous export wins. Analysts across Europe are sounding the alarm. The US appears to be retaliating. Over the last few months, multiple reports reveal that Washington has quietly paused or slowed down deliveries of critical weapons to Europe. The most striking example, the Patriot missile defense system, the backbone of NATO's Eastern Shield. Switzerland, for instance, saw its Patriot deliveries pushed back. Other European allies faced similar delays. Even Ukraine, which depends on American air defense, has been hit with pauses in missile shipments. Publicly, the Pentagon blames shortages and prioritizing Ukraine, but behind closed doors, European officials suspect something else: pressure tactics. The logic is simple. If European nations can't get Patriots or other high-demand systems on time, the urgency forces them back into the arms of US contractors. It's economic blackmail disguised as logistics. Now, why would Washington risk alienating its allies like this? The answer lies in America's economic DNA. The US is what many call a war economy. Defense exports are not just about security, they're about sustaining industries, jobs, and influence. And losing Germany's 80 billion euros rearmament plan is no small matter. If Berlin succeeds in building a self-reliant European defense ecosystem, other European Union states might follow. That would mean fewer contracts for American giants like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and Boeing, and more businesses for Europe's Airbus or Rheinmetall. In fact, Washington insiders openly admit they're worried. Just this summer, Donald Trump celebrated a deal with the European Commission, boasting that the European Union would buy vast amounts of US weapons worth hundreds of billions. But Berlin's procurement list tells a very different story, and it's one that could reshape the transatlantic defense balance. What does this mean for Europe? On paper, Germany's plan looks bold. Billions for frigates, fighters, drones and armor. Billions for European-built air defense like the IRIS-T SLM. And let's not forget the ambitious Euro drone project, finally getting fresh funding despite years of delays. But here's the catch. Europe cannot replace US capabilities overnight. Systems like the Patriot remain indispensable. High-end missile interceptors, advanced electronic warfare, and strategic lift. These are areas where Europe still lags far behind. Analysts warn it could take a decade or more before Europe reaches genuine self-reliance, and Washington knows it. That's why slowing deliveries now creates leverage. It forces European capitals to stay dependent in the short term, even as they talk about autonomy in the long run. This leaves Europe caught in a dilemma. Do they push harder for independence, risking friction with their most important ally, or do they compromise, letting the US take a slice of the pie while Europe gradually scales up production? Some argue a middle ground is inevitable. Joint projects, co-production deals, and transatlantic mergers could blur the lines, allowing US firms to benefit indirectly from Europe's defense boom. But others insist the writing is on the wall. Europe is entering a new era where security will no longer be outsourced to Washington. For Germany, the $80 billion plan break. For Germany, the €80 billion plan is just the beginning. So, is the United States really blackmailing Europe with Patriot delays, or are these just growing pains in a strained alliance? Well, one thing is clear. Berlin's decision marks a turning point. The days when Europe blindly bought American may be coming to an end. And as Germany doubles down on a European defense future, Washington faces a painful question. What happens when your best customers decide to shop at home? This isn't just about weapons, it's about power, independence, and the future of NATO itself. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of geopolitics, defense, and strategy. See you in the next one.